So today we're going to be talking about Baron Samedi. He is a ranged magical damage dealer, and he is classified as a mage. Baron is the god of life and death, and SMITE has categorized him as a hard god, which I kind of do agree with. Some of his abilities can be a little bit more difficult to land. As for the pros of Baron, he has his very own potion for himself and his teammates to gain a little bit of extra health and mana from. That is a chalice. He does an insane amount of damage if built in the mid lane, and he has the ability to play as a support and a solo, which can also be a really great asset for your team. He also has healing in his kit, which can be super beneficial when you are in a team fight because he can heal up teammates and go back into the fight. As for cons, he really doesn't have an escape or mobility, and he also needs to build up his passive, which is called Hysteria, to get the full use of his kit. And this is Baron in game, and he is in the Voodoo Pantheon. Now we're going to go over what his abilities do. First ability is called Vivid Gaze. Baron Samedi animates two skulls, both which briefly warm up before firing between two beams of voodoo magic that damage enemies. The beams cross over wherever Baron Samedi was aiming. Enemies hit by both beams take 15% damage on the second hit. If the enemy god hit is above 30 Hysteria, their physical power, magical power, and attack speed are reduced. And Hysteria has to deal with his passive. So let's just go over that right now. In addition to his passive, he has something which is called Baron's Brew, which is a powerful restorative chalice with his allies from the item shop. So everyone on his team can buy this item, and whenever they go back to the fountain, it will be restored back for 3 uses. Enemies hit by Baron will have Hysteria applied to them. Baron's abilities interact with Hysteria to provide bonus effects. Targets at max Hysteria take 20% additional damage from Baron Samedi. So overall, I do love his passive. I love that little addition for that Baron's Brew, because he's the life of the party and everything like that, and everyone wants to join in on that. So I thought that was a really cool design aspect. And then Hysteria is also pretty powerful as well. Like you saw in the one, if you do have some Hysteria built up on them, their physical or magical power and attack speed will be reduced. Second ability is called Consign Spirits. Baron Samedi guides restless spirits to the ground and buries them. After a brief delay, the ground erupts, damaging enemies standing in the area. If an enemy god is hit, friendly spirits fly from the area and heal allies near the explosion or by Baron Samedi. If the enemy god hit is above 30 Hysteria, the friendly spirit cleanses allies, slows, and increases their movement speed. So this is actually what makes Baron so powerful. He's able to heal his teammates and give them a brief slow cleanse and movement speed buff. So we can definitely show that in game here in a little bit. Third ability is called Wrap It Up. Baron Samedi throws his snake forward, wrapping any enemy god hit and dealing damage every 0.5 seconds for 2.5 seconds and applying a ramp to root. And if you don't know what that is, it basically kind of builds up to the root at the end. If a god hit is above 30 Hysteria, the snake will also lash out at nearby enemy gods who stand too close after 1 second. Enemies hit by this are injected with venom that ramp to root and deal the full damage over time immediately. So this is really good if you have Hysteria built and if the other team is trying to get away and maybe they're too close to their other teammates, so that you can actually end up rooting other enemy gods in the process. His ultimate is called Life of the Party. Baron Samedi pulls the souls of the living towards his coffin, becoming CC immune and taking 35% reduced damage. Enemy gods within range are pulled towards the coffin and take damage every 0.33 seconds. When an enemy god gets too close to the coffin, their soul is ripped out, causing them to be stunned and take a large amount of damage based on their maximum health and gain max Hysteria. This ability persists for 3.5 seconds or until the enemy god is pulled into the coffin. If the targets being pulled are above 30 hysteria, the pull strength is increased. So that just basically means they get pulled in faster to his coffin. And as for leveling, you want to max his 1 since it's his main damage dealing ability and wave clear. Level 2, I do like to go into his 2 just for some additional wave clear, and even if you get ganked in the mid lane, you can get a heal off to protect yourself a little bit. Third, I go into his 3, and then I start to max his 1 and get his ultimate at level 5, going into that, and then I max his 2 second. If you are, say, if you're doing support Baron, I would max this first and definitely go into his 2 at level 1 as well. Baron support is very potent. And just, you know, assists in really good wave clear and even healing the carry. So definitely if you want to go support Baron, prioritize his 2 first. For solo Baron, I would still say max his 1 just so that you can clear the wave to compete with the other solo laner. Every time his ultimate is available to be leveled up, I always level it. And then getting his 1 maxed out and kind of just go like this, and I always just max his 3 last. And that is how I level him up. Now we'll go in game to show you a little bit more about what his abilities do. Alrighty guys, now that we're in jungle practice, we can show him off a little bit more. As for his 1, it's a really cool targeter. There are these 2 line targeters that you can aim by going up or down. And just showing it off in the minion wave, you kind of just want to have it maxed all the way that way and hit the wave like that, and then clearing the wave with this 2. He has some pretty good wave clear once you get his abilities maxed out. Just showcasing the 1 and what it looks like. It's definitely one of the most unique abilities, I think, in SMITE right now, just targeter wise. They're coming up with some really cool targeters lately that I'm loving. It's really fun to aim this ability as well. And just in that middle portion is where they will receive double damage. They will be, so if they're hit with both beams, they take 15% damage and, you know, do some little extra. And just showing off the 2 basic circle. It has a little bit of a cast time before releasing the heal. Let's go get the cooldowns reduced really quick. So you do have to note that you don't get the heal if you put this on minions. The heal is only through enemy gods, so if I hit this Odin, there will be that little green cool animation to let you know that you are getting the heal. And for third ability, the Wrap It Up, it's his snake. This one I would say is the hardest to hit out of all of his abilities just because of how little, you know, of a line ability it is. And you do kind of have to, especially on Xbox, kind of flick it the right way and then you'll get it. I would say practice his abilities, even on Odin bots, just to get down his general cooldown, but this is what it looks like. You throw the snake on there and then it's the ramp to root, so it just takes a little bit for it to get that full root effect, but that is what it looks like. And if enemies are in this area while that is active, then they will also get rooted. As for his ult, it's so cool looking, and when they showed this off in patch notes when he first released, I was freaking out, but he becomes CC immune and pulls people towards him like this. It's a super fun ultimate ability to use, and just waiting for this cooldown again. But while they are in that cone shape in front of you, you will be doing tick damage. Of course, the root of the damage comes from stunning them at the end of the coffin, but you can see them doing that tick damage, and then you get that stun. And as for his combos, this is the main combo that will do the most amount of damage. You want to land your snake, hit your 2, and follow up with your 1. They're going to have no chance but to be rooted inside your heal, and you can have enough time to get your 1 off during that. So again, that is the 3, 2, 1. And you have to kind of hit that very fast just in order to get everything off in a good amount of time. That is the best one. Obviously, you could do like a 2 into the 1. I kind of don't like the 1 into the 2. I mostly just stick with that, but a lot of the times this combo will be your bread and butter. It is just one of the funnest combos, I think, to hit in this game. Like, he is so much fun to play, and putting the ultimate into the combo, this is what I do: 3, 2, 1, and if they're not dead, I just ult and pull them in, and generally that's always a kill. So of course, if you want to use your ultimate to help your teammates and set up other kills, you're free to go ahead and do that. But that is the main combo that I think is pretty powerful. So again, showing that off. Yeah, he is just so much fun to play. And doing this combo, it's going to get them to max hysteria so that they take more damage from you as well. Okay, and then we just got damaged a little bit just to show his healing. So you do kind of want to ramp up his hysteria in order to receive that extra cleanse of slows and movement speed. So just putting that on there, and then it just shows how much he heals. They are nerfing his healing in patch 6.1. Just keep a good note of that. The healing, I believe, is going to go down to 10% instead of 12.5%. So just again showing off the heal. The heal definitely comes in clutch in a lot of situations, and it can actually turn a lot of team fights in your favor when you hit it. So make sure you are actually hitting enemy gods to get it. Okay guys, and for builds. Typically in mid, you'll always go Mage's Blessing. It's pretty good. It gives you bonus ability damage, some magical power, as well as MP5 for your missing mana, and when you get this stacked up, it will give you 10% cooldown reduction, which is insanely good. Always pick that up if you're in mid. If you're doing Baron support, get Guardian's Blessing. It'll help you be a little bit more tanky and give you some extra gold for assisting in minion kills. And if you're wanting to go solo Baron, you have kind of, you know, all of these options. You could do Warrior's Blessing, Guardian's Blessing, or Mage's Blessing. If you plan on going Mage's Blessing, it kind of means you're wanting to definitely like brawl more in the lane and kind of get maybe like a solo kill of first blood. Warrior's Blessing will make you a little bit more tanky, and it'll help you with if you're trying to hit them a lot to get your mana restored and everything like that. Guardian's Blessing would be kind of more for a passive solo laner, definitely, but I'm thinking you kind of want to stick between these two for solo. Okay, for the mid build. As for shoes, I always like to go Shoes of Focus. It just gives him some extra mana and cooldown reduction. I think he benefits really well from cooldown reduction. Of course, there's nothing really wrong with going Shoes of the Magi for the extra penetration if you plan on going something like Chronos Pendant or Soul Gem that already has some cooldown reduction and you don't want to like get maxed out. Feel free to get Shoes of the Magi. Since season 6, they are going to be changing Book of Thoth. I'm still thinking it could be a good pickup for him next season if you plan on building. So it's basically changed to where it's going to be gaining power from mana that you build. So you definitely want to be building some more books to supplement Book of Thoth. So it could be something like this. Always in the 3rd slot, you want to get some penetration. Spirit of the Magus is insanely good on him for his, you know, multiple ticked abilities and things like that. I always recommend getting this. If you do get this, it's probably best to always supplement it with an obsidian shard just so you have enough penetration. If there is healing on the other team, pick up a Divine Ruin. But let's just say for now we're going to get Spirit of the Magus. Next, I really like Soul Gem on him. Just gives him some extra health, magical lifesteal, and cooldown reduction, and that nice passive of healing your teammates once you hit another god from getting 4 stacks. So I do like getting this. Since you do have a Book of Thoth and it's technically Season 6, you want to be building a little bit more mana. Soul Reaver is always a great pickup just to counteract some of the tankier enemy gods on the other team. I would always recommend this. And then again, I'm not a total pro on Season 6 builds yet, so I'm not sure if only having these would be worth getting Book of Thoth. So just keep that in mind, and if not, we can go over a different build as well. Last but not least, since you do have Spirit of Magus, it would be a good idea to pick up a Obsidian Shard.
So sharp.
And maybe just late game, if a Spirit of Magus isn't working for you, you could get something like a Shaman's Ring. Just since Baron has so many abilities that do damage, Shaman's Ring really can work well on him. So that is always an option. And come over here to the Neath to just show you how much he gains from Shamans. So you pretty much are doing tons of damage with that. And if you don't like the Shaman's pick, there's tons of other stuff you could do. Book of the Dead is kind of another choice, definitely in Season 6 if you want to go Book of Thoth, since it will give you mana. If you drop below 40% health, you gain a shield equal to 20% of your maximum mana. So this is a good way of having some extra survivability. Demaviso could be another great pickup on him just because all of his abilities pretty much do damage, and it will make enemy gods slower for 2 seconds. So if you want to be slowing people to death, definitely pick up this. Gives him some nice extra bonus health as well. Rod of Asclepius is another item that could be really good on him. I normally don't build it because I just go for a total like burst Baron. But if you didn't remember what it does, allied gods within 70 units have their healing increased by 10%. If you have taken or dealt damage in the last 5 seconds, their healing is increased by an additional 15. So since you do heal your teammates, this could be a good option to give them a little bit of bonus healing if you're concerned about that. And last but not least, if you do want some additional cooldown, you can kind of never really go wrong with Chronos Pendant. Let me take off this reduced cooldown. This will give you max cooldown at 40% if you go Shoes of Focus, Chronos Pendant, and Soul Gem. But if you're gonna say, nah, screw cooldown and go Rod of Tahuti just to get a ton of magical power and to have additional magical power when people are below 50%, feel free to pick up Rod of Tahuti, and you could have something like this. And again, let's go test it on Neath. So there is that.
It seems like you've played this game before.
And let's do kind of a whole combo with the ult as well, and I don't think she'll live as long. Well, she will if she backflips. So there is that. Could be another option. And let's say you don't want to go Book of Thoth, Bancrofts is still going to be very potent in Season 6. You could always go Bancroft's second item. Or another really potent star is to get Chronos Pendant, so that you have 30% cooldown right off the bat. And then you can go into your penetration item, get Soul Gem, and go another luxury item, kind of maybe like Soul Reaver, and finish it off with whichever you prefer, maybe like a Shaman's Gem, Rod of Asclepius, or if you need maybe some extra defense, it's never a bad idea to maybe get a Magi's Cloak if you're being targeted down, or a Mantle of Discord if you can afford it. Or even going into some more penetration, kind of looking like something like this. As for solo, I don't play solo too often, but I can definitely recommend a build for you if you'd want to get kind of like a head start on that. Solo, I think it would be the best to get Shoes of Focus for the extra cooldown. Breastplate of Valor if you are against a physical solo laner like a warrior. Gives you ton of mana, MP5, and 20% cooldown reduction.
Looks durable, and it fits
So
well.
already you're going to be at 30% cooldown. And then after that, you're going to be wanting some magical defense to be a little bit more tanky against their mage. As for magical defense, I'd recommend something in this tree. Oni Hunter's Garb is pretty good right now. I would recommend this or Genji's Guard, whichever you prefer. If you do get Genji's, that is going to max out your cooldown percent. If you want to maybe get like a Spirit Robe, feel free to get Shoes of the Magi so that you're not going to be like overcapping your cooldown. And for Solo Baron, as for kind of a more bruisery build, you could go like Rod of Asclepius to help with healing with your team. Or you could go Gem of Iso for the extra health and crowd control reduction.
I could do
So let's just say that we prefer this. You can really go either or. Okay, and then for another physical protection item, Lotus Crowns, very strong. Any gods affected by your healing abilities will gain 20% physical and magical protection for 5 seconds. So I would definitely recommend picking this up because you're going to be hitting your heal and healing your teammates, so you can give them that extra passive effect. For last item, I would recommend something in this tree, particularly Magi's Mantle or Spirit Robe. If you do end up going Spirit Robe, this will max out your cooldown, so just remember to get Shoes of the Magi if you plan on getting Breastplate, Genji's, and Spirit Robe. Spirit Robe is really great for that crowd control reduction in addition to 40 physical and magical protections. Mantle of Discord's also really good. If you just get below that 30% health threshold, you will get that 1 second CC stun, which comes in clutch in a lot of situations. So that is another option you could do. Or if they have an insane CC comp, tons of beads burner ultimates, feel free to pick up a bubble to get pulled and CC'd a little bit less often. That is kind of the general thing I would recommend for a solo Baron. Then again, I'm not a solo main, so I think this will definitely get you by. Okay, and last but not least, support Baron. So obviously you would get Guardian's Blessing. Shoes, I would recommend Shoes of Focus for the extra cooldown. Usually second in support, you always want to get some sort of physical defense. I would recommend something like a Sovereignty right here. Or you could even do Lotus Crown. Let me see what those protections were. Yeah, 60 physical protection. I would totally recommend getting a Lotus Crown somewhere in the build. Oh, let's see. I didn't get Sovereignty. So let's just say we got Sovereignty. You're going to need a magical defense. Always in support, I recommend, at least right now, Oni Hunter's Garb, just because you're getting some stacks of damage mitigation for each enemy god around you, and normally support is going to be, you know, kind of around a lot of the time. So pick up an Oni's
How well does it resist
for some magical
wooden
protection.
stakes?
Then you're going to be wanting to get even more protection, so this is where I would recommend Lotus Crown. Fifth item, I would get something in this tree again. If you are wanting some more cooldown reduction or some CC immunity, feel free to pick up either Magi's or Spirit Robe. I do like Spirit Robe on supports just because it's super strong. As for last item, it's kind of situational. If you guys are against a ton of maybe like ADCs and magical ADCs and you want to reduce their movement speed and attack speed by a little bit, feel free to pick up a Midgard. Or if you're needing help with sieging, Emperor's Armor is never a bad idea. Or you can pick up Mantle of Discord for your last item, and that is going to put you at 30% cooldown reduction, which is pretty good for a support, and you're going to be super tanky with this, and, you know, giving them that Lotus Crown passive. So this is something I would recommend for a support Baron. That was kind of a very long god guide, but I kind of wanted to go in depth, especially for all of the builds, since he can be in 3 different roles. He can do those 3 roles very effectively, I think. Definitely in mid, he does a crap ton of damage, and in solo, he can be, you know, pretty tanky while doing a good bit amount of damage as well. Let me know what you guys think if you enjoyed in the comment section. I definitely had a lot of fun making this and explaining him to you guys. But for now, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.